Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Coming up in about 5-10 minutes, we're going to have KRS ONE on, a pioneering Bronx-based hip-hop group with a socially conscious message. Boogie Down Productions is the hip-hop vehicle of rapper KRS ONE Parker. Parker originally formed the group with DJ Scott LaRock, who was gunned down in 87 while trying to break up a street fight and help spark KRS ONE's ambitious anti-violence crusade, which he's traveling around the country right now speaking to the youth. But it was BDP's Productions blend of hip-hop with reggae, dance, and rock influences that set the group apart from other message-oriented rappers, as well as KRS ONE's dexterous verbosity and blunt beat sense. Growing up poor in Brooklyn and the Bronx, Chris Parker was introduced to rap music through his mother's collection of discs, including some by the Treacherous Three and Grandmaster Flash. Parker ran away from home at 13, began living on the streets during that day. He would read about philosophy and religion at the library, and at night he'd practice rapping at the homeless shelters where he lived. At age 17, he got his GED while staying in the Franklin Armory shelter in the Bronx. Parker met social worker Scott Sterling, known on weekends as DJ Scott LaRock. The two formed BDP and released Criminal Minded on the independent B-Boy label in 87. The album's smooth grooves and hard rhythm foreshadowed gangster rap. In August of that year, LaRock was murdered. Parker kept going with his brother Kenny, releasing By All Means Necessary, number 75 pop, number 18 R&B, 1988. The following year, the album introduced the rapper's style of rap in songs like My Philosophy and Stop the Violence, and the latter of which Parker turned into the movement in 1989 to help curb black-on-black violence. BDP's album sold relatively well, and it goes on with just scores of albums, millions and millions sold, and just one of the icons out there of hip-hop, and speaking out for 9/11 Truth and a lot of other issues, so that's why we're going to be having him on the show today.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
All right, till the bottom of the hour, KRS ONE is our guest. He's on a Texas tour, and coming up in a little while, he's in North Texas, going to be speaking to a group of high schoolers about how horrible the shoot-'em-up culture is that we have, not just with black youth, but Hispanic, whites. It's happening in rural areas, and he really speaks out against all the gangster rap, go out and kill each other, go out, deal drugs, all of that. And he has really turned millions of people away from that. But he's a pioneering hip-hopper, sold millions and millions of records. In August of 1987, his partner, LaRock, was murdered, and that's what got him going on his Stop the Violence movement that went nationwide in 1989. And again, so this is the good hip-hop. This is the stuff that's really uplifting, and he just does an amazing job. He's also involved with 9/11 Truth, and he's anti-war. And we're just really excited to have KRS ONE on the show with us. It's great to have you, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Tell us what you're doing in Texas right now.
Well, you could tell by my voice. Last night we were in Dallas screaming at the audience to stop the violence. And it's funny because people don't seem to act until you act. And this is why we're here, to cause peace. So, we did a community college yesterday where we discussed violence and discussed the role of violence in society, meaning that nature, we discussed at the college that nature is violent, and really violence is sort of like morality, that it is very selective when it comes to your society. Like you have natural violence, but then we're supposed to have civilization where we rise above the natural state of humanity, really, and kind of get along with one another, if I may use a better term. Just be civilized if you can. Try to love one another. Try to respect one another. You know, this kind of thing. But if your leaders are pushing violence, if all you see on television is this is the way you're going to solve a problem, bash the guy's head in, and even verbally to say, well, you got to get a little aggressive with your voice. Everything that points to aggression later on in life points to stress, points to anxiety, and most important, guilt. And so we were trying to tell the kids yesterday, which many of them totally understood what was going on. We said, look, Stanford University says that violence is caused in society by illiteracy. Like if you can't read, you know, you express yourself physically. Now, I don't know if I agree with that totally, but I'm just citing the study. The United Nations points out that poverty is the cause of violence. If you don't have enough to eat, nothing on your back, nothing over your head, you're quicker to lash out at somebody.
KRS, the Pentagon has done studies in the 40s, 50s, right through to today, that within 4 days of no food or water, most people start stealing. Within 10 to 15, 90+% of people start murdering for food. So that's just a fact.
Wow, you just added to my lexicon of truth here. Wow, really? 4 days?
Absolutely. And then over 90% will start killing after 10 to 15, depending on where they did the study.
You know, this is important for leadership because in a lot of ways our society is kept deprived so that these violent acts can continue. And people make money on violence, which was my last point, which I think resonates well with young people. You know, young people don't want to be slaves, simple and plain. And when you point out that, you know, if you can't control yourself or at least find another way to resolve conflict, you know, you're playing into that game, that prison industrial complex.
Man, you discovered the same thing that I've discovered, but you articulate it simpler and in a better, succinct way than I do. That I found that if you tell young people, you know, don't go out and fight, don't go out and do drugs, don't go, you know, that's for older people or you'll get in trouble, they'll still go do it. But if you explain to them that this is a system and that the system wants them to get in trouble and wants to get them in the system and that they win by being professional, by doing well in life, as the French say, best revenge is living well, that they win, then, I mean, that's one of the things I like about the black Muslim movement. I have some criticisms as well, but I mean, overall, they have that message, and it has really been successful for a lot of folks.
Yeah. Yeah, and the point is that our children are not stupid. Our young people are not stupid. If you explain that this is all part of a plan to keep you subordinate to commercial interests, your little act of violence is a ticket for you to now become part of the problem, really, on a social level.
Well, it's what you said. It's what you said. I mean, it's the new slavery. They want to institutionalize you, get you on welfare, get you in prison, get you in the psychiatric system, get you in debt.
Yeah, it gets you in debt, more importantly, by telling you, you know, well, not even by telling you, but, well, wow, you just pointed up interesting. In the courts, when you are, I guess, given justice, as we may call it that, that they say you're paying your debt to society. And this is very important, that paying your debt. What debt? What debt do you incur? You know, what did you get for free, you know, that you now have to pay for? What did you, you know, invest in to cause you now to have debt? And the issue is that once you explain that to our children and you say, you are being suckered, they rise right up and say, oh, hey, now I get it. You know, peace is a revolutionary strategy as opposed to something to attain.
Man, that's beautiful. And they also sell being warlike and getting in fights in the media, but then they put you in jail when you do it as strength. But it takes more strength to learn to control yourself and not be fooled.
Right. And this is what Dr. King taught: a restraint, self-restraint in the face of injustice. If you join in on the injustice, you weaken your argument, you weaken yourself. But if you can stand up to it and show the hypocrisy by being the victim of injustice, if you can withstand it, if you have the strength, the courage to withstand it, it always shows itself to be hypocritical. And no matter how powerful the opposition would be, they fall. They fall, as we've just seen Bush fly away.